how would you deal with the fact that they are shackled now by all these various, there's a DEI, diversity and inclusion, but then there's also the, good governance and environmentalism thing that basically they are entirely, it seems to me now ruled by a kind of public sector ethos. I mean, would reform just just do away with that stuff?
Of course. I think we've said we'll scrap every single DEI-related role in the public sector. If you run your private company and you want to spend your money on DEI officers or whatever, that's up to you. I mean, that's your choice. If you're, I had a bit of sort of a scud with various people, particularly my local council in Great Yarmouth, because I say, if you want to fly the LGBTQ plus flag from your own house, that's your choice. It should not be flown from government buildings. Union Jack should fly from government buildings. And if and again, people then get upset about that. Why? Because, and I actually got lots of letters from people who are gay and they thanked me because they don't want to actually dictate how the rest of the country lives their lives. And I think that's incredibly interesting. One chap even sent me 40 quid in cash in a letter. And he said, go and have a good feed in Parliament. So that was extremely good of him and thanked me for what I was doing. But I actually sent the 40 quid back and thanked him. And I had lots of those. So I think that most people are decent, Peter, but I think government can become malign. And in answer to your DEI means that once you've got these DEI officers everywhere, and you should see how much is being spent on DEI in the National Health Service, in the government. Once you've got a DEI culture, you end up with DEI. It's a bit like sort of personnel officers. In my day, we have virtually had no personnel officers. And then the next thing is you've got personnel officers everywhere. Next thing is personnel officers are running the show. Well, DEI is like that.
Yes.
And it's completely unproductive. It's divisive. And it's not necessary.
Well, actually,
we publicly say reforms policy is we will scrap every DEI-related role in the public sector straight away.
Right. There is a reason, I understand, with business as to why they have got these departments too. And it does derive from statutes, actually. It derives from Blairite statute.
Of course, it all comes from these Blairite laws. Largely the Equality Act. That needs to be repealed straight away. So does the Human Rights Act. So does the Bribery Act. Again, interesting one. I think Keir Starmer broke the Bribery Act. And actually, he did pay some money back after I raised it. All this money he accepted for his clothes and his wife's clothes, and the front bench accepted for parties and all sorts of other things from this Lord Ali character, who you probably know is a gay Muslim, which is quite in itself a rare beast. But he's clearly wants political influence, and the Bribery Act is quite clear. It's a Brownite Act. Actually, it's a Brownite Act. It had its genesis in Brown, but actually was passed by the Tories by the Cameron Clegg, the coalition. So, look, I mean, I think he broke it. I wrote to, I haven't written to the police. I probably should write to the police about it, but I haven't. But I wrote to the Speaker. I wrote to the Parliamentary Commission on Standards, who said it was nothing to do with him. But I'm pretty sure he did. And in the city, which I was in for a long time, increasingly, we couldn't go to the Chelsea Flower Show. We couldn't go and do things that had a value of more than a certain amount, pretty low amount, 50 quid or something. Even going out to a restaurant for lunch had to be disclosed to compliance officers. Well, you tell me how it's right for the Prime Minister to be, or the future Prime Minister to be having his wife's clothes bought by somebody who has clearly got political influence over him. And he had had access to number 10. He was going in and out of number 10 whenever he wanted to. Yeah. So no, that doesn't work for me. And I, as you probably know, I'm not in Parliament to pork barrel any sort of expenses like that. I give my salary to Great Yarmouth charities each month. And I think, I'm 67, I'm a pensioner. I'm in this to change the way we're governed. That's what I want to see. I want to see a country that's more commonsensical than it is at the moment. Common sense has died, by the way. I mean, it's common sense that we need the return of.